Thanks to the support from Columbus City Council, the Furniture Bank of Central Ohio can now expand its efforts to help families in need create stable living conditions. Today on City Chat, Councilmember Nick Bankston joins us to explain how this support strengthens our city's infrastructure and meets the needs of our growing community. Thank you, Councilmember Bankston, for being here today on City Chat.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Josie.
Can you tell us about the Furniture Bank of Central Ohio and why this initiative initially stood out to you?
Yeah, Furniture Bank is a wonderful organization right here in our community that really just started off as a mission, right, in a church basement. Someone trying to help their fellow neighbors that has grown into really what I would say critical infrastructure that's necessary for our city. They work a lot with our other human service agencies to provide furniture to those that are in need, particularly our low income families, as well as those that are coming out of homelessness. And it's so critical. I mean, these are either used pieces of furniture, but also furniture that they make right there on site. And so Furniture Bank, I think, is a critical partner as we talk about a growing city, as we talk about the more demand that we see, particularly on housing and the impact that it's having on our people. You know, homelessness continues to increase because of that. But as folks are navigating through that system and getting back into housing, furniture is a critical piece to really turning a housing unit into a home. And so for me, what really stood out is the great work that they've done. I've worked with them personally and seen firsthand the work that they're doing. This expansion that they went through and that we gave support for helps to really centralize their operations so that they can continue to serve the growing needs of not just Columbus, but our entire region.
Have you been able to visit any homes where you have really seen where furniture can create stable housing? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I was a recipient of the Furniture Bank. My mom, when I was younger, in about middle school or so, got referred to the Furniture Bank as she was transitioning back into her apartment. Yeah. We got to go shop there, pick out our own furniture. You know, they helped deliver it to us, and so I got to witness it firsthand. And then before, my work on council, I served as the president and CEO of Gladden Community House, where we worked every single day to stabilize families and prevent homelessness. So we referred a lot of our families directly to the Furniture Bank as a resource as they were getting back into housing. And, when we think about housing and we think about affordability, we only talk about just the rent or what it means to have a roof over our heads. Yeah. But we take for granted and forget there's other critical things that you need when we talk about housing, right? Where are you going to lay your head down at night? Yeah. Where are you going to sit with the family and be able to, watch a movie as you guys unwind and connect? All of those things are critical and essential when we talk about housing. So it's not just simply the roof over your head, but it's really about all the other components that are necessary to really make a home a home.
That's amazing. The $2 million contribution from City Council, can you speak to how that will directly affect this organization that will then affect our community?
Yeah, so what we did through City Council, and it's through our capital budget, so their capital dollars, it will go through the construction of their expansion in their capital. They have an ongoing capital campaign now. This will basically expand their site and rebuild their warehouse as well as their showroom right here in the heart of our city in Franklinton. The Furniture Bank has been operating there since their inception. But they have grown so much that they were warehousing furniture in two different locations on two different sides of the city. So that made logistics harder. It was a strain on their budget. So what this is really going to do is help to streamline their operations, right? Put all of their furniture in one place, rebuild their showroom so it can be a place of dignity when families come to shop there, but also increase their capacity to be able to serve even more families. So it was a no-brainer for us. I mean, they're going to be able to serve almost double the amount of families they're able to serve today and give those families an even more dignified experience. And so when we talk about this crunch right now that our nonprofit organizations are facing, so much of it is, of course, operations, but a lot of that is tied to their capital needs as well. So making this capital investment is actually going to help them on the operating side of things to be able to streamline, again, their operations while serving more families. And so for us, when we think about this moment that we're in, we have to get creative of how we're supporting these nonprofit organizations, because they're not simply an amenity, they are critical to the success of our families and to the success of our city.
as our city is growing and the current housing market, how does the current shape of our housing market affect the demands for Furniture Bank of Ohio?
Yeah, our current housing market is really putting pressure on the Furniture Bank and a more higher demand for those services. And I'll tell you why. You know, right now, housing in Columbus continues to go up. The price of it continues to go up, which makes it more expensive for that family to essentially move in. And so, you know, when we think about when we move in or we rent a place, it's usually a deposit. And that deposit is first and last month's rent. And you're already struggling to make that. There's no money left to get those critical things that you need. And so that's where the Furniture Bank steps in to be able to provide those essential things to relieve that pressure of an already tight housing market that is causing a strain on our families. And so, unfortunately, that's the phase that we find ourselves in. That is what comes with growth. And I think what we're trying to focus on as a city and as a council is how do we manage this growth? How do we plan for it? How do we invest in critical infrastructure to help our families navigate that? And Furniture Bank is one of those critical partners that can do that. But absolutely, the housing market, as we see, is putting pressure on our homelessness system. We see folks that can't afford their rent, right, being put out on the streets, and that's unacceptable. And so while we continue to make investments in infrastructure and continue to build more housing units, we know simultaneously we're going to have to also invest in other critical partners to help alleviate the pressure of housing costs across the board.
Can you speak a little bit more about, you know, how fast Columbus really is growing?
I mean, we are the fastest growing city in the Midwest, one of the fastest growing regions in the country. We are now the 15th largest city. Right, we continue to grow. I think in the last year we grew by 1.4%. And so when you do the math of how much we've grown, it's 33 people basically per day that is moving to Columbus, Ohio, and moving to Franklin County. And so we're not keeping pace with building enough housing units for that. And that growth is amazing because I think it means that folks want to invest in Columbus. They see promise here. They see opportunity here, which is great. But we have to manage that growth and have to be prepared for it. And so for us, that's things like investing in the Furniture Bank, but it's also what the community did last year when we passed Link Us, which is a transportation package that's going to help folks move around this city in a more equitable way. It is what we are putting forth to the voters this November, $500 million bond package for housing so that we could build more housing. This growth is not something necessarily, I think, for folks to be scared of, because it is here. And this is not a question of will we get bigger. We've seen the projections. We see it all around us. We will get bigger. The question becomes, what do we do with that growth? Can we be better? Can we leverage it for our residents of today? And can we build a better Columbus for the residents that are coming? That's really what this moment meets, that we have to meet.
Yeah, you know, this specific initiative, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that I see it is that what this is doing, this community furniture community plan, is preventing homelessness. Is that like the main, you know, because it's not like they're building houses or anything, but they're creating more stable housing. Is that?
I think really what the Furniture Bank is doing is helping families stabilize. You know, I wouldn't say it's on necessarily the prevention side, but as folks are either coming out of our shelter system and getting housing, or as a low-income family is finding themselves in a tight situation and need to replace that mattress or replace that couch, this is a resource for them so that they're not able, so they don't have to go into their pocket. So now I don't have to think about, am I going to meet my rent or am I going to pay for this critical piece of furniture? There's a program and an organization that can help me with that. And so for me, I think it's really about how is getting folks back into housing and helping them again alleviate some of those other expenses that come with housing. So yes, it is somewhat in a way prevention, but I think more or less it's about stabilizing families after they have experienced something like that. And so I think that's so critical, and that's something that we have to continue to invest in.
Yes, thank you. Who qualifies for these services, and where can residents access information?
Yeah, so Typically, the Furniture Bank is a referral system, so they are working with other nonprofit agencies that refer them. I know there's an intake process. It is based off of income and need, and so they want to make sure that they're serving those families that critically need it. And so there's a whole entire process that they go through, but again, it's based off of the income, family, household size, those types of things. And so I would say that folks can reach out to other social service agencies, but also to the Furniture Bank directly to get referrals for their services.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I just want to thank you for lifting this up. And I would just point out that this is just one organization that the city is funding. You know, this last budget that we just passed, over $8 million set aside for capital needs for other critical partners in our community. And we see them as just that, they're partners in this work. So as we continue to grow and as we continue to evolve as a city, we know that these types of services are necessary. Our nonprofit organizations that are doing such critical work in our communities every single day. You know, when we passed this piece of legislation for our Furniture Bank, the following Monday we passed another $2 million for our food bank that is also experiencing a lot of unintended consequences of what we see happening around our growth. And so for us, we're committed to continuing to make sure where we can build the infrastructure for the city as it grows, but also make sure we're building the infrastructure of our nonprofit partners that have to serve the least of us. And that is really what it's about. I think when you look at, as the city continues to grow and what we do, how are we investing in our seniors? How are we investing in our children? How are we investing in our unhoused population is going to tell the story of, again, were we like every other city that got big, or did we do something different?
We're lucky as a city to have you on our side. And so thank you for explaining everything and for all of the work that you're doing for us.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having us, Josie.
I'm Josie Smith. Thanks for watching City Chat on CTV.